I te mana whakawā e ngā mema o te whare tēnā koutou katoa. Ka tū au I runga I te mana o te Pāti Māori, me te tino aroha ki ngā kaimahi I hinga ana I raro I te taumahatanga o tēnei pūnaha. I rise on behalf of Te Pāti Māori and the many Māori, Pacifica and migrant workers across Aotearoa to say we oppose this bill. This bill would allow employees to make cash offers to employees to exchange for silence, silencing the right to raise a personal grievance, to speak their truth and to hold abusive employers to account. Let's be clear, this is a bill that helps bosses harm workers. Believe me, I know. I've actually been in this situation. I've been a CEO that's actually used this process, and we think it's good, but it is actually an imbalance of power, of behaviour, of access to get rid of kaimahi. And we think that it's a great way, but to be honest, it's not great for workers because 1 minute they're here and then 1 minute they can be gone. So this is a tool for quiet dismissal. It creates a new legal pathway where an employer can approach a worker and say, here's an offer, here's some money, leave quietly and don't ever speak of this again. And if that worker agrees under pressure, in fear or out of desperation, the law will not allow those negotiations to be used in court. Who will this harm the most? Well, not the boardroom, not the CEO, not the middle manager. It will be Māori workers, wahine Māori, rangatahi Māori and low-wage whānau who will be most affected. Those in cleaning jobs, call centres, hospo and security. The ones without lawyers, the ones living paycheck to paycheck. This is who it harms the most.
Harassed.
And we know from generations of experience, when the law gives discretion to the powerful, the powerless get burned. This bill erodes the fundamental rights, and we've heard from our Labour colleagues about those fundamental rights, against the rights to fair recourse, the right to speak out if you are treated badly or unfairly. It undermines the purpose of the Employment Relations Act. Where is the tiriti in this? Nowhere. This bill was written without Māori for the employers, by a system that still refuses to see us as decision makers. There is no acknowledgement of mana Māori, of tikanga, or of the collective approach we take to resolving workplace harm. There is no protection for the kaupapa Māori providers, the rangatahi workers, or the wahine leaders who might be pushed out of their mahi with no voice, no support or no justice. This bill is a quiet legislative layoff tool. So I ask this House, who benefits when a worker is silenced? Who loses when a mother of three living in emergency housing gets pressured into signing a mutual termination just to get her final pay? And what happens to the trust in employment law when justice is made optional? Te Pāti Māori will not support this bill. We cannot support a law that widens the gap between employer and employee. We will not back a policy that opens the door to more Māori losing their jobs in silence, with no path to redress. If we are to honour te tiriti and uplift the mana of every worker, then we will put this bill to the side where it belongs. Nō reira, tēnā koutou katoa.
Rachel.
Hold on, did I hear that right? Like, I'm glad that she's against the bill, but did she say that she used to in the past takutai dismissed workers with a cash payment? She's like, oh, it's very efficient, but it's terrible for the workers. It's like, because I did it. It's like, are you sure that, am I hearing that right? Is that something you want to publicly admit in Parliament?
No, she can't be sued for it in Parliament because of where she admitted it to, but yeah. Yeah, I mean, I do know from my BP days, the ways you get rid of difficult employees is you find them a job that kind of comes across as a promotion. That was something commonly, I learned that one from my boss, Hayden. He was very good teaching me that. I don't know if Hayden's watching the show at the moment.
So
it's really quite funny. I mean,
sorry. So how does the strategy work? Would you put them in a different role, or would you just go, I don't know.
So what would used to happen was, if you were trying to get rid of a difficult employee, you'll try to get them into a senior position in another store.
Well, see, that I don't necessarily have a problem with that. That's not. I wouldn't call that necessarily unethical. It's not like you're saying.
You're watching crash and burn.
Yeah, I mean, it's one way to get someone to leave.
Yeah, I mean, you can say it directly. That kind of what happened to me. That didn't exactly happen to me at BP when I shifted from Levin to Johnsonville. But basically, after 4 managers in 12 months and a bullying area manager who thinks she's the best in sliced bread, and her bullying 2IC who also thinks he's the best in sliced bread, basically just made it so intolerable that like the particular region itself had stagnation of people moving up the chain because they just didn't want to deal with those two idiots. Yeah. And I actually do like, that's how Luxon ended up as a CEO. Yeah. And also as the leader of the National Party, and funny enough, the Prime Minister.
Jeez. Okay. Nick, do you have any thoughts?
Oh, yeah. I'm just trying to remember what we were talking about there, but yeah, I mean, I think Takutai Tarsh Kemp made some really good points around this bill will negatively impact Māori Pacifica.
Oh yeah,
and Māori Pacific
suck for the ag and hort industry.
It's going to also negatively impact those who are sexually harassed.
Yeah, but I mean, I'd also toss in there disabled workers as well, undoubtedly.
Yeah.
And I think that's why the ability to bring in our unions to support all of those workers. This bill is inherently about removing the ability of our unions to support some of our lowest paid workers, some of our workers who are inherently discriminated against in the workplace. This is about trying to remove the ability for to provide that support in the workplace and just make it about the employee and the employer. And I mean, Jan made the point really strongly that there is an inherent imbalance. And I think when we just try to make it about the employer and the employee, we really isolate some of our really vulnerable workers. And I think that's just going to result in some really terrible situations where people are just going to be shafted in the workplace and continually shafted, and even more so. And I think that you're going to hear some really terrible stories in select committee, and I think that's really good. And I think we should. And I think we should line up. Everyone should line up and tell their story about how they got absolutely done over.
Absolutely, yes.
In select committee.
Mm-hmm. And if you're watching, if you're one of those workers that have been treated like shit by
Thanks for watching. Make sure you're subscribed to our Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok.